And now the Bible has the answer. The questions are yours. I go to the Bible, God's inspired word, to find answers. And thank you again for these good questions before us today. Question number 1. Will those who die in infancy be adults in the resurrection? Do they have intermediate bodies? Well, the best-selling book, Heaven is for Real, says that babies in heaven develop at the same speed as on this earth. And that may be so. The Bible really does not tell us. What I do know is that there is no sickness or sorrow or death in heaven. Read Revelation chapters 21 and 22 and you will be thrilled. It seems that our loved ones who have gone on ahead do have access to intermediate bodies. If we read Matthew chapter 17, we discover that Moses and Elijah were there and they had visible, tangible bodies on the mountain with Jesus. And so it may well be that those who have gone on ahead do have access to intermediate bodies in order to interact with earth. Now question number 2, who are the 2 witnesses of Revelation 11 verse 3? We are not told. Many believe that they are Enoch and Elijah, who never experienced death. You remember Elijah was caught away in a chariot of fire, and Enoch was not, for God took him. However, William Barclay thinks that the 2 are Elijah and Moses. Moses representing the law and Elijah representing the prophets. The interesting thing is that these 2 witnesses bear witness for the God of heaven for 3.5 years, and they are killed by the Antichrist. Worldwide television will allow the entire world to see their martyrdom on the streets of Jerusalem. But then the Bible says that the Spirit of God will cause them to come to life again and they will be translated to heaven. The result of that will be that many unbelievers will just pass it off as being a hysteria. But the end of that chapter says that there will be many who will fear and believe God as a result of that manifestation of God's power. And now question number 3 for today. Did Jesus empty Hades of the righteous when he arose? In my youth, I heard preachers talk about Hades in the Old Testament, and they said that that was the place of departed spirits back then, whether the righteous or the unbelievers. However, the story Jesus told about Dives and Lazarus being separated and a great gulf fixed between their places of abode beyond this world seems to deny that idea. Paradise is the New Testament term for the place where, it's called Abraham's bosom, the place where Jesus and the converted thief from the cross were together that very day on which Jesus died. The term Jesus led captivity captive is interpreted by some to mean that he did deliver the righteous from Hades on the time of his resurrection, but I believe that that simply has to do with Christ meeting the needs of you and me by his sacrifice on Calvary and his triumph over death. Thank you so much for these good questions. I trust the answers have been a blessing and perhaps even provocative. If you have a question you'd like me to use on the Bible as the answer, please write it out, send it to me. I'll be pleased to hear from you, and I'll get to your question on the air just as quickly as I can. When you write, all the address you need is simply Faith to Live By, Box 426, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and the code is R3C2H6. Right now, the male quartet, the old favorite, The Lily of the Valley, immediately followed by my daughter Sherry on the piano, the old hymn that all of us love, In the Garden.